My name is Mario, as you already know, and at the moment I work as a soft skill trainer and coach in Hungary, Budapest. And before that, apart from a short period at a multinational company, I was working as a pastor. I'm also gay, a gay man, more specifically cisgendered gay man. So my family wasn't particularly liberal. So I grew up in the general aura and the agreement of society that being gay is disgusting, it's horrible, it's a sinful thing. So gay people are supposed to be beaten up or even killed, and that's all right. Because it was so scary. I didn't want to be gay because it was just something you don't want to be. But I also have to say that I was really lucky because I had friends around me who were supporting from the very first moment that I realized this. And so I was never alone with the conscious realization that I'm gay or I like men. At the age of 16, I became a Christian. Like I went to this English Christian camp where I got saved or converted or said the prayer or whatever, and it was a really important turning point of my life, like really transformative, and it determined the next 14 years of my life quite heavily. It took me about 1 year to hear the message from the church that no, baby, this isn't okay. You can't be gay and Christian at the same time. You have to choose one or the other. And for whatever reason, I made the choice that, okay, then I'll be a Christian. And I became very, very pious, and serving God was really the most important thing in my life. Any kind of contacts that I had, I always had the urge that I have to talk about Jesus. I have to, convince them about this and tell them about this. So, and this wasn't, it wasn't just a compulsion. I really thought that this is the best thing that happened to me. The love of God, it's unconditional, and it means so much to me, and I just wanted to share it with others. I went to seminary right after high school, because I thought this was like, I had an experience of calling from God. I felt that He really called me to be a pastor, and this is what I should do, and this is what I've been gifted to do. Like it looked like I had all the skills and the abilities to do it. I was so serious about my faith that I also went to study in England, in Oxford, for 1 year, where I was studying apologetics, Christian apologetics. So basically how to defend the faith from other religions and from the gay propaganda even. And I quite sincerely were doing this because I internalized the whole thought that, yeah, okay, I am gay. At the time, I thought the reason is mostly that it must be a psychological disturbance in me. Maybe something happened in my childhood that caused this. It's also important to mention here that I never had in this period. I didn't have any relationships, so I wasn't living a double life in that sense. I lived a double life on the inside, but not really on the other side, on the outside. I was celibate, so to say. One thing that made it almost unbearable, I would say, and it's probably not an exaggeration because I was writing in my diary very often, this can't go on like this, it can't go on like this, was that even though they loved me, every time I experienced that they loved me, I had this inner thought that they only love me because they don't know I'm gay. I just would have wanted to be able to be open about this and to say, well, yes, I'm gay, I'm attracted to men, but I'm celibate, like the Catholic priests. At the age of 26, I fell in love with someone, and that was such a mind-blowing experience, even though he didn't love me back, and I never even told him that I loved him, but it was like a very, very strong emotion, and that kind of dismantled my theory about being gay. I felt that I loved this person so much, I could die for him. So this isn't something horrible. This isn't something sick. It's something very beautiful and natural to me. And then for all the theological notions that I had, they just came tumbling down because my personal experience was so different to what I wanted to believe. In the contemplative tradition, I heard the saying, and it was absolutely shocking to me, that whatever is allowed to be. So whereas my previous very evangelical theological mindset was that there is a plan, and reality has to be adjusted to the plan. Whereas the contemplative tradition taught that no, you have reality, and that's actually God's will, because it's otherwise it wouldn't be that way. If the world is allowed to be the way it is, then maybe I am allowed to be the way I am, and I should not force myself into some kind of plan or some kind of blueprint. I read the law, in the church regulations, and it said that if you just have the homosexual inclination or something like that, if you have that, that's not a sin. It's just if you live it out and if you propagate and so on and so forth. So I said, that's cool. I'm celibate, so it shouldn't be a problem. So we went to the church leadership with the support of my colleagues. But the church leadership wasn't so happy about this decision. So it was a really difficult experience for me, because what I encountered there was just plain rejection, and I felt like they didn't care at all what I had to say. I was faced with the dilemma or ultimatum that, okay, you either shut up or you leave. Finally, I made up my mind that no, I'm gonna go on this way, and I kept telling people, coming out to more and more church members, and I also went to these meditation retreats, and even there I was encouraged by my own experience that it's going to be all right. Whatever happens, wherever you go, it's going to be all right. Most people were just sad that I leave. There were, of course, voices who were trying to heal me and convert me, and they were praying for me, and they wanted to stop me in this whole process. But I had made up my mind, and it was very, very clear that I had to leave. It was a life and death question for me, I think, at that point. The first emotion that comes up is gratitude. Like I received so much love and care in that period of my time from the church, and I'm a little bit sorry, I'm getting emotional here, but I'm sorry that I couldn't really accept it at that time. And because I believed it so firmly that I'm not acceptable, and so even though I was shown so much love, I didn't believe it. And I think, and right now I'm sorry that I couldn't believe it more. Today I would say that I'm not a Christian by any definitions of Christianity. So that's why I wouldn't say I'm a Christian. There are parts that I can't explain, like for example, a part of my faith kind of disappeared overnight. Like it was very unexpected that I had this really strong and living and fervent faith. And I left, and in a matter of weeks, I felt like I had lost one of my senses. I was listening to sermons and they didn't touch me at all. Or I went to churches and saw the crucifix and I was like, oh, this is very nice art. But I wasn't like touched by the story, by the narrative anymore. One thing I miss is community. Like right now, I don't really belong to any communities. Like I have a lot of friends, but even I had my birthday not long ago, and I gathered these 15 people together, and I loved them all separately, but they didn't really connect to each other, or as much as they could, they did, of course, but it was obvious that they don't belong to the same community. And that's such a different feeling, when you have I think the closest that I experience is with my work, but even there we don't meet that often. So community, these youth groups that I was leading, and the church, in some Sunday morning you look around and I knew everyone, and they knew each other, and so that's one thing. Another thing connected to this is singing together with other people. Like I sometimes sing here at home, but it's so different when you sing together with 200 people. It's just a wonderful feeling. It was more the existential, sociological part of leaving my vocation behind. As a pastor, I had a place to stay. They paid for my rent, they paid for my bills, and I didn't have any other qualifications. So when at the age of 30, I made the decision that, okay, I'm going to just leave. I had to answer questions like, okay, so what are you going to do? Where are you going to live? How are you going to pay your bills? And that was one thing that caused me a lot of stress and fear. My experience is that it's something good. It was a good decision. I want to make it very clear that I don't think that faith is necessarily bad for anyone, and I don't want to talk anyone out of their faith. And on the contrary, I think it can be such a great an important force and help in our lives. And so the last thing I would do is talk someone out of their faith.